The Penrice Estate on Gower has been held by the same family since the Norman invasion. And although much has been written about the estates of Gower, these stories are about everyday life and a few of the farms that were once owned by the Penrice Estate.
John Tucker, The Beeches Farm, Horton. I was born in 1940 and I lived here all my life, and I'm 83 years old now. The old people on the farm were petrified when they're on the Penrice Estate because they could be chucked out if they caught anything wrong. And the landlord used to ride round on a horse, see all the buildings were kept in sight. It was real feudal way, absolutely petrified. So father used to go up the lane and shoot pheasants in the night. He used to go up Church Lane here with a 410 gun, and he would see the pheasants in the night and just shoot them down and bring to Granny Tucker and tell her it was a chicken. Because if you'd shot in Penrice Estate, you'd be chucked out. That's what they used to enjoy. And the poachers used to come in the nights with torches, and they'd catch the rabbits and they'd take them into Swansea Market and sell the rabbits at 2 and 6 each. And they'd catch 30 rabbits in a night. If they were caught, we'd have to take responsibility if they were caught poaching. We could have been chucked out because Penrice hated poachers, people making money out of them.
Although pit and home farm are old, the story of love and family is older still. Families making a living and turning a house into a home may change, but the story, until recently, has stayed the same.
Pit Farm itself is so old. It's got very, very thick walls. My grandmother, my nana, she was known as Renee Morgan of Pitt. She was born in 1900. While she was young, before going to school, she had to take the milk cans round to Oxford Green and things like that. None of the daughters went out to work. They all did things in the house or learnt to sew. Your grandmother learnt to play the organ beautifully in the chapel in Oxford Green and helped on the farm. She told me that she used to have to go out and pick stones up before the ploughing and things like that. So none of them went out to work. They were what I would have called yeoman farmers at Pitt. Not the poor, really poor, but not the middle class or upper class. But with all those children, I suppose the boys helped, but then they went off and had their own farms. Her sisters married local farmers' sons.
Yes.
She was the only one who didn't. And he was a gardener, which wasn't looked on from Pitt Farm as being as good as a farmer's son. And the boys ended up with their own, because she was the youngest of 8, ended up with their own farms.
Yes.
And the daughters married farmers, except her. She only preferred Alfnudson.
Yes, yeah.
And so the story goes, from Renee Morgan of Pitt, marrying Alf Knudsen, a gardener working at home farm for the Penrice Estate, to Gordon from Pitt, marrying Cheryl, and them living and working at home farm, before returning with their young family to farm at Pitt.
I'm Cheryl Evans.
I'm Gordon Evans. I came to Pitt Farm with my family in 1941, and the family's farmed here ever since. In the early 50s, the farm was bought by my parents off Penrice Estate, carried on farming, but in the early 60s, my parents sold the farm back to the estate. When we got married in 1966, we went to work for Mr. Turnbull, who farmed the home farm, and we lived in Oxford Green and started a family, and we worked there in a home farm for 10 years before coming back to Pitt Farm to farm in 1975, by which time we'd had a family of 3 and a baby on the way. So we had plenty of farm hands to help when they grew up. And now, of course, they've all set up their own home and moved away and all done really well. So we're still here now in 2023, and we'll still keep farming as long as we can. The village of Penrice was mostly estate workers living there in tied cottages, farm workers, and all that's changed today. It's let out to holidaymakers visiting the area, and that's how things have changed.
The story of Pitt Farm has changed again. Gordon and Cheryl have moved out of the house, though thankfully for now, they can still keep farming there. The lease on the house has returned to Penrice Estate. And who knows what Pitt's future holds? Will it be called home again, or join the ever-growing list of holiday lets and second homes?
What I call Bampy, my grandfather, Alfred, he was brought up and raised in Oxford Green, and he became a gardener and worked for the Penrice Estate. But there must have been things going on all around Penrice at the time, all the different farming gatherings, harvests, all of that
Goose
sort of
fairs
thing.
in Penrice, they held years ago.
And that's where he met my grandmother, who was a Morgan's from Pitt Farm. So her family farmed Pitt Farm, which they would have rented off the estate. But he was a gardener. I think he worked on home farm, which was Penrice Estate.
I think it was Christmas time, I'm not sure, but Lady Blythewood, who was the matriarch, wasn't she, in Penrice Estate, used to give out bolts of cloth, and the girls all had, I think she said, pink gingham type things, so they all had dresses the same, and the boys had a sort of a tweedy type material, and they had probably short trousers and jackets and things. I don't know who made them up. And Nana didn't like it. That's what she said. Everybody looked the same when they gathered. And there was always things going on in the village, Penrice and Oxford. But I think the estate people were quite kind to Lady Blythewood was.
Well, yes, because they
to
would
the
have been in
children.
Pitt Farm, which was rented from the estate, wasn't it?
And at Christmas they used to come up with logs for all the tenants, because most of the houses, especially, the 5 in Perriswood at the time, were all tenanted from the estate.
But Bampy worked in the gardens for the estate till he was about 70.
Yes, yes.
I think he must have gone to Swansea a couple of times, but I don't think he really ever left Gower. Did he?
No,
He
went for his
went
honeymoon and then never left it again, I think.
and he must have gone to Swansea to get married.
And the football.
Oh yes, he liked his football. He used to go to the vet.
He didn't want to go anywhere else. He was quite content and
Yeah,
happy being here.
yeah. But he spent all his life really within a mile of where he was born, up in Oxford Green. And he was quite content there, wasn't he?
The first tuggers came to beaches in 1640. They came from Somerset. They used to come dredging on the beach and getting copper and taking back to Somerset. And we were lucky in 1952 we bought the farm. The tenants were petrified at Penrice Estate because they'd get rid of you as soon as they could. The little Lady Blythe was a real lady. She was very, very nice. But her daughter died before her, and they had to sell the farms to pay death duties. Or otherwise we'd never have bought the farm. We'd never been able to afford to buy the farm. I'm the 7th generation on the farm, and Richard will be the 8th, and his son will be the 9th, as long as they behave themselves. So it's up to them now, isn't it? All right.